My name is Ava Marlowe. I'm 34 years old, and I used to believe love was a spreadsheet. Lay out the costs neatly enough, and nobody bleeds. That was before a single text message turned 3 months of planning and $9,400 of my money into a punchline. Dad's turning 60 was supposed to be a threshold, not a trap. He has always said he wanted to see Kyoto's cherry blossoms before his knees, file a formal complaint, and Mom treats sushi like a sacrament. Kevin, my younger brother, once said he dreamed of real ramen, not the salty brick that got him through freshman year. So I did the reckless thing responsible daughters do. I paid for everything: flights, hotels, the JR pass, even restaurant reservations. I stalked like shooting stars. I upgraded their seats to premium economy and kept my own in the back of the plane. I booked myself a small room in Osaka, told myself joy doesn't need square footage. The text arrived at 2:11 p.m., casual like a linty mint from the bottom of a purse. We gave your spot to Kevin's girlfriend. She's more fun. It was from Mom. No apology, no punctuation, no oxygen. I watched the three dots wobble, like there might be a second blow, something about how I understand because I'm so practical. The dots vanished. That was it. The family I was flying across the Pacific to celebrate had decided I was replaceable by fun. My reply was a single tile of ceramic calm. Got it. Then I made 2 phone calls and a choice you only get to make once. First, the airline. Canceling a web of non-refundables requires a voice that sounds both sorry and inexorable. I offered both. Yes, I understand the fees. No, please remove all names attached to my payment method. Yes, the entire reservation. The agent's fingers skittered across keys. Entire seats, gone like flares in fog. Second, the hotel. There's been a change, I said. Please cancel the group booking and note that any non-authorized guest is not to remain in the suite. The card on file is withdrawn. A careful pause on their end. Then the exact words that told me my clarity had arrived right on time. Ms. Marlowe, there is an unlisted guest currently occupying your assigned spot. Of course there was. In my family, boundaries are just furniture to be rearranged while you're at work. By the time I hung up, the apartment felt both too quiet and just right. I opened the hall closet, retrieved a small metal box, and took out the duplicate keys to the house with the pale blue shutters. The house deeded to me when Grandpa realized I was the only one who read the paperwork before signing it. For 5 years, my parents had lived there rent-free while they figured out retirement, and Kevin crashed there while he figured out life. Funny thing about figuring, it always seems to prefer my wallet. I drove across town with an envelope of new keys and a locksmith's number in my pocket. The afternoon smelled like heat baked onto stucco. Inside the blue shutter house, framed photos smiled like witnesses. Mom's white couch, which no one was allowed to sit on with denim, looked like it had hosted an entire denim convention. I found a smear of bronzer on the throw pillow and thought, Madison, Kevin's girlfriend who insists everyone call her Mads, who once filmed a TikTok in my hallway wearing my heels because I'm doing a character, don't be weird. I had laughed then. I wasn't laughing now. The locksmith came, professional and unsentimental. Tumblers clicked, history recalibrated. When he left, I pocketed the new keys and stood there listening to a house relearn my name. On my phone, a message bannered across the lock screen. Noah, you off at 5? I can bring dumplings. Also, proud of you for blocking out time for you. I stared at his text longer than I meant to. Noah doesn't perform support. He practices it. He's the kind of man who notices when my shoulders creep up and says, let your bones be heavy. The only other banner on the screen was a stray DM from Vanessa, his ex. Remember when rules didn't matter? It had been sitting there for a week like a test I didn't plan to take. I swiped it away. Not every past requires a postmortem. On the drive home, the world kept offering metaphors. A faded sale ends today sign flapping on a storefront, a bus ad for unlimited data. Limits and data. I had both. By evening, the family group chat lit up with filtered reels. Mom's suitcase laid out like a catalog of efficiencies. Dad doing a grim thumbs up. Kevin filming Mads as she practiced bowing with a hair flip. Caption, Tokyo, we're coming for you. I didn't comment. Not because I didn't have words, because none of them owed me relief. At 10:03 p.m., the hotel called back. Ms. Marlowe, to confirm, the card ending in 3142 has been declined for current charges. There is a discrepancy with the guest list. The unlisted guest is still in the suite. Remove all guests, I said, voice awake. Cancellation stands. Note that any attempt to reauthorize should be denied. A gasp sounded faintly behind the front desk hum, like someone had handed the phone to a manager and he'd remembered his training. Yes, ma'am. I made tea I didn't drink. The steam smelled like restraint. The kettle pinged. In the quiet, I finally let the rewind spool. Kevin, limp on my couch after graduation, figuring things out on my Netflix account with my groceries. Madison arriving in a weekend bag and never leaving. Mom's refrain, he just needs time. We're so proud of you for being stable. The used Mazda, the cosign, the list of oops bills I covered because it was always just this once. The way thank you had shrunk into send when you can. A knock tapped at my ribcage from the inside, the kind of fear that pretends to be guilt. I took a slow breath and wrote one sentence on a sticky note in block letters, the way I teach myself difficult truths. Clarity is not cruelty. The phone chimed again. Noah. Dumplings secured. Door in 10. And hey, delete any message that confuses love with access. When he arrived, the apartment warmed by 2 degrees. He set cartons on the counter and looked at me like I was a person, not a function. Tell me the worst version, he said gently. They replaced me, I said, and it finally felt like proof, not surprise. Noah nodded once. And what do we do with proof? We file it, I said, then we act. We ate in companionable silence, the good kind. After he left, the house exhaled. I stood by the window with my new keys stinging warm against my palm and pictured a boarding gate without my family in it. My name on a ticket going nowhere but home. Somewhere over the Pacific, my phone vibrated with a message that would sharpen everything to a point. The hotel again. Different voice, same story. They've checked in, but not as themselves. Unauthorized. My name swapped out like a coat on a shared hook. Clarity doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just holds your hand while you press cancel. The morning sunlight hit the blinds like blinds know secrets. I woke before my alarm, heart steady, not racing, just alert. There's a kind of peace that follows betrayal when you finally stop negotiating with it. I opened my banking app. Every line of spending looked like a confession. Airline deposits, hotel holds, bullet train passes. My family's joy had a paper trail, and my name at the bottom. I didn't cry. I made coffee instead. By 8 a.m., the phone rang again. Ms. Marlowe, the hotel manager said carefully, the guests listed under your reservation have been informed the booking has been canceled. They seemed unaware. Unaware, I repeated. That's a family tradition. He paused. Should we charge cancellation fees? Bill me, I said. I'll consider it tuition. When I hung up, I scrolled through old texts, tiny fossils of obligation. Mom, can you spot Kevin for rent? He's between jobs again. Kevin, hey, sis, car payment's due. Can you float me till Friday? Madison, do you still have your Costco login? I need the big pack of oat milk. Every please was just punctuation. Every thank you expired after use. That afternoon, Noah stopped by with his quiet kind of presence, the kind that doesn't require a script. He brought me lunch and a single folded napkin with the words, "No more IOUs," written in pen. I laughed. You're subtle. He grinned. I've learned subtle from watching you not explode. We ate on the balcony. For the first time, I let myself say it out loud. They used my name at the hotel, added Madison to the suite. She's probably sipping champagne out of the glass I reserved for Dad's birthday toast. Noah didn't say, that's awful. He just said, that's proof. The word landed like clean math. By evening, my inbox flooded with alerts. Charges declined. Refunds processing. Card flagged for fraud. It was working. The unraveling had begun. And then, silence. Until 3 days later. I was making dinner when the sound arrived, a pounding that made the utensils rattle. I opened the blinds. There they were, Mom, Dad, Kevin, and Madison, all red-eyed, travel-tired, and furious. Luggage piled on the porch like guilt given shape. Kevin's fist hit the door again. Ava, we know you're in there. I took one slow sip of coffee before unlocking the deadbolt and opening the door just enough to meet their eyes. What happened to our keys? Kevin demanded. Oh, I said lightly. The ones I had rekeyed, they don't work anymore. Mom pushed past him, dragging her carry-on. We just got off a 14-hour flight. We're exhausted, hungry. Don't do this. You're trespassing, I said, still calm. This is private property. Madison barked a laugh. You're joking. You're actually locking out your own family? I looked her up and down. The barefoot, the messy hair, the faint smell of airplane gin. You're not my family, I said flatly. Her jaw tightened. Kevin turned on me, voice breaking between outrage and disbelief. We were stranded in Osaka with no hotel, no Wi-Fi. Do you have any idea what that was like? Must have been awful, I said, being stuck somewhere on someone else's dime. Oh, wait, that's been your entire life, Mom gasped. Ava, stop this. You humiliated us. You canceled everything. You made us look ridiculous. I leaned against the frame. No, Mom, you did that when you gave my spot to Kevin's girlfriend. Madison crossed her arms. You're mad because we had a better time without you. I stepped outside and let the door click shut behind me. You think this is about Japan? Their faces froze. It's not. It's about every bill I paid while you called it help. Every rent-free year in a house I own. Every time you said, be grateful, you used my stability as your playground, and now it's closed. Kevin's shoulders sagged. So what, we're homeless now? No, I said. You've got 2 weeks. Rent's tripled. Utilities are on you. Guest suite's locked. If you want to stay, you pay. Madison's mouth dropped open. You can't just... I pulled a folded document from my pocket. I can. It's called a lease agreement. Mom's voice cracked. This isn't who you are. I met her eyes. It's exactly who I should have been. Kevin lunged forward. Ava, please, we messed up. Madison didn't mean... Madison cut in, snapping. Don't throw me under the bus, Kev. I smiled a small, sharp smile. You can't throw someone under a bus when they've been living rent-free in it. Kevin's face crumpled. For a moment, I saw the brother I used to defend from school bullies. But that version of him lived in a house I no longer owned. You were my brother, I said, but you traded me for entertainment value. Then I turned and walked inside, closing the door gently, because slamming is for people still trying to prove something. Behind me, their voices blurred into the wind. The locks clicked, final as a verdict. I stood in the hallway, breathing in the quiet. The house smelled like lemon cleaner and peace. My phone buzzed on the counter. Noah, just checking. Did you finally say it? I typed back yes, and they finally heard me. The message sent, the blue check marks appeared. Outside, the shouting had stopped. Inside, the silence stayed. The first morning after, silence filled every corner like new paint. No guilt calls, no texts demanding explanations. Just the kind of quiet that doesn't ask to be broken. I made breakfast for one, toast, black coffee, peace, and sat by the window, watching the neighborhood wake up. It was the same street, but I swear the air had changed. Lighter, honest. By day 4, the messages began. Mom, can we talk? We all made mistakes. Please don't do this to your father. Kevin, I know we crossed a line. Mads didn't mean to. Can we fix it? Madison, you're overreacting. Grow up. That one made me laugh, short and mean, just like her. I didn't reply to any of them, not because I was angry, because I was finished. Then came the paperwork. A letter slid under my door. Notice of intent to discuss property ownership, from my parents' lawyer. They were claiming partial contribution to the Blue Shutter house. Of course they were. My attorney called it creative fiction. I called it familiar. That night, I poured wine into one of Dad's old crystal glasses, the ones Mom always said were too good for daily use. I raised it to the empty room. To daily use, I said. The next morning, my phone lit up again. Trevor, Jen's husband, my brother-in-law, sent a spreadsheet titled Running Totals. Not kidding. He'd apparently decided to help mediate the family finances. I scrolled through the columns. Rent, utilities, groceries, shared travel experiences. My name was highlighted in red like a debt. I closed the file and blocked his number. Around noon, Noah arrived with lunch and his calm that I was beginning to think should be bottled and sold. Do I need to prepare bail money? He asked, setting down Thai food. Not today, I said, just lawyers. He raised an eyebrow. They really filed something? They're trying, I said. They won't win. The deed's in my name. But it's exhausting how much energy people have when they're not paying their own bills. He leaned back, studied me. You know, you don't have to carry this tone of apology when you talk about being right. That stopped me. What tone? The one that sounds like you're explaining math to people who don't believe in numbers. I smiled. Occupational hazard. He reached for my hand. Let them drown in their own receipts. You keep swimming. After he left, I sat with that. The idea that I could float without checking who was clinging to me. 2 weeks passed. Madison vanished. Socials scrubbed, No new posts. Kevin picked up part-time shifts at a gym, folding towels. I knew because a friend sent me a photo. He looked tired but alive. Good. Mom, meanwhile, rediscovered religion. Her text started ending with praying for you. I almost admired the pivot. Then, one evening, the doorbell rang. When I opened it, there was a box on the step. Inside, old family photos, a cracked mug from college, and a post-it in Mom's handwriting. We don't know who you've become. I stared at it for a long moment, then peeled the note off and stuck it to my fridge, right next to my own. Clarity is not cruelty. Knowing who you've become is survival. The next morning, a new package arrived. No note this time, just my grandmother's tea set, wrapped carefully in dish towels that smelled like Mom's kitchen. For a moment, the anger softened. Some boundaries don't need fireworks. Sometimes they echo back as quiet recognition. I brewed a cup and carried it to the balcony. The city looked gold and distant. When I opened my email later, I found one last message from Kevin. Subject: I get it now. Mads left. Said she didn't sign up for this. You were right about everything. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't forgive him, but because forgiveness didn't require delivery confirmation. That night, I transferred money into a new account labeled future/no family access. Not hiding, just protecting. Then, I opened my calendar and booked something that wasn't an escape, but a beginning. A solo trip to Iceland. No guilt attached. No shared itinerary, just mine. As I clicked confirm, my phone buzzed. Noah. So, Aurora lights? Me. Exactly. Noah. Make sure they can see you glow back. For the first time in years, I laughed without flinching. By the third month, the drama had finally gone quiet, like a house after a storm, furniture still damp, but the air clean. No lawsuits, no family meetings, no surprise visits, just the sound of my own life, unshared and fully paid for. Mom still sent the occasional text that read like a sermon disguised as concern. We didn't raise you to be this cold. I stopped correcting her. Ice melts where it belongs. Kevin's updates came indirectly, through friends, through whispers. He'd started delivering food on a borrowed bike. He'd lost some weight, gained some humility. For once, his struggle didn't pull on my conscience. It was finally his. One Sunday afternoon, while folding laundry, I found an old envelope labeled family stuff. Inside were printed itineraries, hotel receipts, flight confirmations, all from trips I'd booked and paid for. Every family memory had my card number in the corner. There it was, the truth I'd ignored for years. They didn't love me because I was generous. They loved me as long as I was generous. I sat down on the floor, paper scattered around me like a crime scene, the evidence of emotional embezzlement. For the first time, I didn't feel grief. I felt data. I started writing. One rule turned into five into a creed. Rule number 1. I pay for what I choose, not for what I'm coerced to love. Rule number 2. Family is not a receipt for loyalty. Rule number 3. Gratitude shouldn't sound like a threat. Rule number 4. No one gets to call me selfish for saying no. Rule number 5. Fun isn't free, and it shouldn't cost me my peace. When I was done, I folded the paper into my journal. My handwriting looked unfamiliar, steady, unapologetic. That night, I dreamed about the trip that never happened. Cherry blossoms falling like confetti over a Kyoto street. Only in this version, I was walking alone. No Kevin, no Madison filming herself for views. Just me and the quiet sound of my own footsteps. When I woke, I realized maybe that dream wasn't about Japan. Maybe it was about arrival. A week later, Noah stopped by after work, carrying 2 takeout coffees and a plane ticket. I had some flight credits left, he said, sliding it across the table. You've been talking about Iceland, so go. I blinked. You're not coming? He smiled. No, this one's yours. I traced the ticket with my thumb. They'll say it's selfish. They already do, he said gently. Might as well enjoy it. The night before my flight, I packed light. Camera, boots, notebook, silence. On the kitchen counter, the sticky note from months ago still clung to the fridge. Clarity is not cruelty. I added a new one beneath it. I am allowed to begin. At 4 a.m., I left for the airport. The streets were empty, the city half asleep. My reflection in the taxi window looked like someone I was finally meeting for the first time. In the departure lounge, my phone buzzed with one last message from Mom. We miss who you used to be. I typed, deleted, then typed again. You missed the version of me who never said no. She's gone. Send. On the plane, the sky turned lavender above the clouds. I closed my eyes and breathed in a future without permission slips. When I landed, Reykjavik air hit like a baptism. Cold, clean, unshared. That night, I stood beneath the northern lights, the sky shimmering like something forgiving itself. For a moment, I imagined my family watching, each in their own small room, trying to understand how I'd disappeared from their orbit. Then I let the thought go. I lifted my phone, recorded nothing. No proof, no post, just one whisper meant only for me. I am not your wallet. I am not your plan B. I am not your apology in advance. I am me. And under the green glow of a sky that finally looked like freedom, I smiled, not at what I'd lost, but at what I'd finally kept.